Good afternoon. Welcome to the Josephine County Board of Commissioners weekly business session. Today is January 7, 2015, 3 p.m. If you'll please stand, we'll say the Pledge of Allegiance. Gentlemen, please remove your hats. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Madam Chair, have a moment of silence while people are standing for Georgia Brown.
Georgia Brown, who was previously county clerk here for many years, many of you probably know her and remember her. She passed away this morning, so we're going to have a moment of silence for Georgia Brown. First item on the agenda this afternoon is we have a proclamation. Is there someone here to receive this today? Do you know?
I am.
Okay, all right. And what's your name, sir?
Steve Raycraft.
Steve Raycraft. Okay. I'll read the proclamation and I'll have you say a few words. Okay. This is the matter of proclaiming the month of January 2015 as Child Trafficking Awareness Month. Whereas hundreds of thousands of underage girls and boys living in the United States and vastly greater numbers abroad suffer in silence under the intolerable yoke of modern slavery. And whereas the great majority of men and women over the age of 18 were first trafficked as minors, and whereas the victims of this scourge of modern-day slavery lose not only their freedom but also their dignity, families, emotional and psychological health, and too often their lives. And whereas we stand with all those who are held in compelled service, we recognize that the people, organizations, and government entities that are working to combat child trafficking, and we recommit to bringing an end to this inexcusable human rights abuse. And whereas the steadfast defense of human rights is an essential part of our national identity, and as long as children suffer the violence of sexual and forced labor slavery, we must continue the fight. And whereas the President of the United States has declared January each year as National Slavery and Human Trafficking Prevention Month, so we also add our support to this important initiative. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the Josephine County Board of Commissioners does hereby proclaim the month of January 2015 as Child Trafficking Awareness Month in Josephine County, and calls upon citizens to recognize the vital role we can play in ending modern slavery and to observe this month with appropriate programs and activities. Done and dated the 7th day of January 2015, the Josephine County Board of Commissioners, Cheryl Walker, Chair, Keith Heck, Vice Chair, and Simon Hare, Commissioner.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. I'm going to leave you each with one of these packets, which is what we hand out to prospective members that come to our meetings.
Thank you. Please take a few minutes and tell us about the organization and the work you do.
I would love to. And I just want to offer as well, the first page on that shows a cover of a Chosen video, which is 22 minutes long. We've shown that in a variety of settings, and if you would like copies of that, instead of just the faux cover, I can get the copies and deliver them to you. As it turns out, we gave out our last copies this morning when we met with the Three River School District superintendent and principals. So I'm short-handed to bring in the actual copies right now. I also want to start by thanking especially Simon Hare, who during the course of the last year has worked with our group at different times and who attended the recent District 7 School Board meeting when they accepted our prevention project into the high school for beginning February 4th as an extra credit class at the high school. Just to begin,
school district on the West Coast, did I understand?
First on the West Coast. It's very well established on the East Coast, and this is the first on the West Coast.
Great.
ACT Southern Oregon is an awareness organization working to bring attention to the growing crime of underage sex trafficking within the state of Oregon, and more specifically in our local communities. ACT has been in existence since 2011 and is sponsored by Shared Hope International, of Vancouver, Washington, and River Valley Community Church of Grants Pass. The group facilitates 2 chapters, with our Medford Jackson County chapter opening in 2014. Our focus at ACT has been awareness and also the prevention and legislation action against this issue. ACT also works to facilitate the opening of safe homes for victims. We work closely with Redemption Ridge of Jackson County as they work to open their home in the Medford area. And we network with a number of other safe home organizations nationwide. Our awareness piece includes a Trafficking 101 class that we hold monthly at Club Northwest, which is open to the public. We have a film night monthly at the Medford Library. We have monthly planning meetings both in Grants Pass and in Medford. And we sponsor awareness events and presentations of different types to civic groups. We spoke to the Rotary over in Medford yesterday, to a group of about 150 Rotarians there. So we have all those awareness events and activities. If anyone's interested, you can invite us in. You can find us through River Valley Community Church office, or you can find our website or Facebook page in order to get information to contact us. Our prevention piece, we are now working with local schools. As I said, we got our prevention project accepted into the high school, and we met with the Three Rivers School District today about introducing that class in. And that introduces the idea and educates the students on trafficking, but it also empowers them to take ownership of the issue and to be active in combating this issue, since it so greatly affects them. The average age for being lured into sex trafficking in this country is 12 to 14 years old. And the numbers are 100,000 to 300,000 kids every year under the age of 18 that are trafficked into the sex industry in this country. We also work in the legislative area. Bill 673 was enacted this year. They're opening a safe home in the Portland area soon. We are working on future legislation right now. We're working very closely with the legislative team in Salem that's working on this issue. Have already made contact and are working with the Shared Hope International attorney who works with the legislation group to work on new legislation that's coming this year, including the hearsay proposal that will allow for an easier access for the victims to testify against the pimps and the traffickers that have victimized them. So that's all coming up. A lot of legislation on board for our state for the coming year. We are currently working on a PSA campaign with KLBI TV. Hopefully we'll have something that looks like our meth campaign that'll be featuring trafficking to launch sometime later this year at the beginning of next year. We're working with the Jackson County Sheriffs to put together a task force that will educate sheriff's departments throughout the state of Oregon on this issue. We are working also to bring in an education piece that's called Fight the New Drug, which addresses the pornography issue in this country, and that is very closely tied to the demand side of the whole sex trafficking issue, because it is the buyers of these children for sex that are causing this marketplace to grow and to boom the way it is. So we want to address that side of the issue. And just to finish, we are members as well of the Domestic and Sexual Violence Council of Josephine County. Work closely with them on this issue and as well as related issues. So I just want to thank you folks for allowing the time today. Caleb LaPlante originally was to be here today. He's our outreach coordinator. We were here at 9 o'clock this morning, both of us. And he couldn't make it this afternoon due to business reasons, but I also thank you on behalf of him.
Thank you, Mr. Raycraft. I know that the work that you do is really, really very important. A lot of people aren't even aware that the issue exists, and so your awareness and outreach programs are critical to the community. And having teenage children who live in the Portland area and a son-in-law who is a police detective there, it's definitely a very serious situation for the whole state of Oregon, even though that there's a lot of effort focused in that community. It's all over. We're not immune.
Yeah.
So.
We're touching the tip of the iceberg right now, and awareness is growing, but there's a lot of work to be done. So I appreciate your recognition of this issue today. And I just want to let you know that we're presenting to Grants Pass City tonight, tomorrow to Medford City Council, as well as Jackson County, and Central Point, and Ashland. Proclamations will be coming later in the month. So, thank you very much.
Yes.
I'd just like to recognize also Rebecca Sapper-Bender, who is part of your organization. I think she's a national advocate for awareness on this issue. She's somebody that I've known for quite a while in my life. And the fact that this doesn't just happen in Portland, this happens right here in our community. The I-5 corridor is that system of trafficking for this on the West Coast. So I think it's important that people recognize that it's not just a Portland problem, it's an issue right here in our hometown, in our community, that we need to be aware of. And I think the schools is a great place to start. I was made aware of this issue through a similar video, maybe not this one, that was shown through Zonta 4 years ago during my campaign, and it really resonated with me, that movie. It's pretty touching how it can totally devastate a child's life, and because the community can't turn a blind eye thinking it's not in their town. It's right here, and we need to be vigilant of it all the time.
And I'll pass those words along to Rebecca. I was going to mention she is one of 23 or 24 survivor advocates who are being featured in a nationwide campaign called More Than a Survivor. In that campaign, we hope to bring it to the Medford Grants Pass area in September. It's going to be in Reading in September. We hope to bring it up here. It's traveling the country with the stories of these women who are survivors of trafficking. And not only are they survivors, but they're more than survivors. They're advocates and warriors and champions in the cause against trafficking today. So thank you very much.
Yeah, and just one other thing, I think it's important for us as a community to realize this is not an importation issue. This is a local grown issue. I have several personal acquaintances that have had daughters caught up in this from the age of 12, 11 and 12, the first two that entered into this whole thing. And it all seems as if it's an out there issue. It's not until it happens to somebody that you know or really care for. But this is an issue here in Josephine County, and that we need to be more aware of it and need to be taking proactive steps to face it, to confront it, and also to deal with it. And I commend you and the folks involved in this program that you're working with, Steve, for doing all this stuff.
Thank you, Commissioner.
Thank you very much. I'm going to move to item 2. We're going to take item 2A at the end of the session. Item 2B, approval of order 2015-002 in the matter of group health insurance coverage for non-union employees and the opt-out clause. J.J. Schofield, the HR Director.
J.J. Schofield, HR Director, Josephine County. It's part of our process when it comes to health insurance coverage for our non-union group to offer an opt-out clause. And what that means is if the employee has other group coverage, so they have a spouse or whatever that has group coverage, we allow them to opt out of our insurance, and then we'll pay them a lower amount than what our typical county contribution is. So our county contribution is currently $897. That's what we pay for our insurance. By offering them an opt-out, we'll pay them a lesser amount, in this case $500, so that person doesn't necessarily have to have double coverage, and overall it saves the county. You're looking at about $400 a month. It saves the county. For the folks that opt out, it saves about $25,000 to the county to allow that option. So it's a cost savings to the county to do it. Last year was the first year that we did it with our new insurance OEB. The stipulations on how it works is mandated by OEB. And so what I'm asking is to continue that practice in the coming years so that we can allow non-union folks who have group coverage outside of the county to opt out in lieu of requiring them to take the current coverage or waiving coverage and getting nothing.
Questions, Mr. Shelton? Thank you. Okay, item 2C. This is the approval of contract extension for our Fairgrounds manager. Mr. Schofield, you wish to address that for us, please.
So our Fairgrounds manager is a contract employee, and currently we are readdressing her contract at 6 months increments, and so her time has come to reassess whether we want to continue keeping her for the next 6 months or discontinuing that contract and looking elsewhere. We contract through personnel source. It's similar cost to whether she was a county employee or a contract employee. It just comes down to whether the board would like to continue with her current contract.
Is there any recommendation from the Fair Board on this?
I have not heard from the full Fair Board. I've heard from the chair that they recommend continuing the contract.
What's the recommendation from liaison?
I certainly recommend it.
Okay, good. That's what matters to me.
Any questions or discussion?
No, but I think from a board's perspective, we do need a plan. This was an interim appointment as somebody who stepped off the board to fill the position of manager for a temporary basis. And we need to develop a strategy for a long-term solution. This is not necessarily fair to Ms. Groves. It's not fair to the fair. It's not how we do things at the county, having contract employees typically for managers. So, yeah, we'll develop a plan. I think this 6 months extension should be just that.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay. Okay, we will go to the requests and comments from citizens. And for 3 minutes, please state your name and your address. You do not have to give the street number when you give your address. Anyone wish to speak for 3 minutes on any of these items? Mr. Matthews?
Dale Matthews, Grants Pass. I am the editor of badcounty.com, which is a non-commercial website where we do the news. We are media. And we just added on a daily television news show. It's live at 7 o'clock. And one can tune into that. Last night, we did a story about Monday. On Monday morning, we were at the swearing in of 3 new people, including Simon Harris, Commissioner. We brought 2 high-definition cameras because we were told that there might be a little bit of silent protest in the audience. And we thought, well, we'll be sure to get a camera on that. As it turns out, they didn't do anything at all. Go see Sherry Atkins about that. So, right behind us was Randa Gore from KTRV Channel 12. Randa Gore reports to have been in the same meeting that we were in, and somehow she came out with the impression that things happened that didn't happen. We don't just criticize commissioners. We see something wrong. We see lies happening other places besides here. You don't have a monopoly on that, Mr. Heck. Then we point it out. Randa Gore got the story totally wrong. It was completely fabricated. She told everybody that there was a silent protest against Simon Hare. And that when Simon Hare walked up to take the oath of office, as opposed to the other people that did it, that Simon Hare was treated with the cold shoulder, that people didn't applaud as he walked up, that they were giving him the silent treatment. That's not true. It's not even close. Each person that walked up to take the oath of office weren't greeted by any kind of applause. That was done after they went back to their seat. And there she is telling everybody, this is the main point of their story on Channel 12, that Simon Hare was taught some kind of lesson and that people were upset with him and that they were giving him the cold shoulder. Completely fabricated. We know that because just like we catch Cheryl Walker, when she doesn't tell the truth, we have the tape. We were there with 2 cameras. So what we did last night is we put up a couple of stories. One is we talked about this at length, about 20 minutes. And the other one was we showed their footage and we showed our footage. That sounds familiar to you, Mr. Heck. And we put them side by side. And you can see for yourself that what she said was a lie. This was no accident. Because she can go back to her office and take a look at the same tape that we did. And when she said this, I thought, what? And so Mike Jones and I, we went back and looked at 2 different cameras and, buddy, that didn't happen. We tell the truth.
Anyone else like to speak?
You should try that.
Mr. Seligman.
Mark Seligman, Selma, Oregon. I want to talk about judgment. We elect all of you people based upon judgment. I also want to talk about truth and integrity. Commissioner Simon Hare has exhibited poor judgment due to alcohol. First it was the Jeep false police report incident, now this text message scandal. Now it's nice of Dale to speak about the truth. I applaud him. Now what about the integrity of an elected official who we elect to represent us? Will the cause of the timber industry be advanced by your scandalous behavior, Commissioner Hare? Or has their cause and the jobs of people who seek work in this area been compromised? That is between you and your conscience, Commissioner Hare. I'm asking you as a voter and as a person that opposed you in the last election, I'm asking you to resign as soon as possible. It is the right thing, Commissioner Hare. It is only fair for me to ask you, like others will ask you in the future, is alcohol impairing your judgment today? Alcoholism is an insidious disease. It truly damages good people. They make poor choices. I urge you, Commissioner Hare, to resign, go to rehab, and come back and seek political office again. You will be stronger and a better person for it. To Commissioner Heck and Commissioner Walker, I ask one of you to make a motion to censure Commissioner Hare for conduct unbecoming a county commissioner. Clearly, he has demeaned this board and county government. An appearance of unity by doing nothing by this board toward this matter will only enhance the public's apathy and negative view of all of you. However, you have a chance to regain some level of trust and respect in the community by making a public statement of censure of Commissioner Hare. Again, I ask Commissioner Heck or Walker to make such a motion today. Furthermore, supporters of Simon Hare, the churches, and Jim Brumback have been conspicuously silent on this important moral issue. Failure of church leaders to speak out will make the church a moral hypocrite. One could argue maybe the churches should not engage in political rhetoric, but they did endorse Simon Hare, and I asked them as moral leaders to denounce Commissioner Hare's actions as conduct unbecoming of a county commissioner. Finally, to all of you watching this telecast today, I've asked Commissioner Hare to resign and spare the community the energy it will take to mount a recall in 6 months.
Mr. Seligman.
Take the high road, Commissioner Hare. Put your motivation and desire aside. Make no mistake, Commissioner Hare, there are several groups ramping up for a recall. Get some help. Take the high road. Do this county a service. Thank you.
I appreciate people's right to come and speak. But you need to be addressing the board, in my opinion, not the public. It's not your avenue for broadcast, how this is displayed to the media or what have you. You need to be addressing the board, Mr. Seligman.
You don't look at us when we talk to you.
Is anyone else? Ms. Cassanelli.
Sandi Cassanelli, Merlin, Oregon. Today at 2 p.m., this board held an executive session. The last item on the agenda simply listed number 5, matters from the commissioners, with no specific authorization identifying it. This is a violation of open public meeting law, which requires a reasonable effort to inform the public and interested persons, including the news media, of the nature of the more important issues or principal subjects coming before the body. ORS 192.640, Section 2 states, if an executive session is being held, the discussion must be limited to the topic listed in the statutory provision identified as authority for the executive session. Your matters from commissioners item is not sufficiently descriptive so that interested persons will get an accurate picture of the agenda topic. In addition, the specific provision of law authorizing the executive session was not properly identified for this item. Simply listing all possible provisions of ORS 192.660 A through M on the top of the agenda does not fulfill the specific requirement. Executive sessions are not a time when this board can talk behind the public's back about any item under a general topic of matters from commissioners. This is an egregious affront to the citizens of Josephine County. So congratulations, commissioners. It seems as if it's business as usual around here. You once again broke the law and your oaths of office in the very first meeting of the new year. Do you have any questions or comments for me before I submit this to the record? Seeing none, thank you.
Anyone else wish to speak? Yes, ma'am.
Hi, my name's Lee Bernard.
Please step one more time.
Here you go. Okay.
Thank
And I'm a local business owner here in the Grants Pass area. I'm here to show my support for Redemption Ridge. I believe we all need to invest our resources in caring for these young girls involved in sex trafficking. I have traveled to India several times, and I am planning on going and returning in March with a medical team to work with and help young girls and women who are either forced, converse, kidnapped, sold, or tricked into the better life for themselves and or their families, into the commercial sex trade industry. Previously, I have seen the devastating effect of what happens to these young women, everything from their controllers, pimps, and madams breaking them down so they feel worthless and helpless. If these victims aren't obedient to their controllers, they are beaten and abused, and several of them lose their limbs. When I was in India, I would be doing manicures on these women and then notice they have fingers and hands missing. I didn't notice that before. They are now living in conditions after either being rescued or arrested from the sex trade industry that are still beyond what most of us can imagine. With love and compassion, we can reach out and offer hope. The transformation is amazing, and each girl has an incredible story to share. In India today, about 200 girls and women are forced into the sex trade every day. Average age is 11. I've seen women married off at the age of 6. They are used for a few years and then thrown into the streets to survive. I think we can do better. Redemption Ridge wants to embrace these young girls with love and have a place for victims that have been involved in the sex industry to feel safe and call home. Furthermore, they want to provide basic education, life skills, vocational training, and empower and equip them for a better quality of life. It's a shame if we don't open our eyes to this tragedy that is happening in our schools, homes, malls, streets, workplaces, and countries. You might think they are enjoying what they are doing because they have a smile on their face, but it's all part of their controllers, madams, and pimps breaking these young girls down to the point if they aren't acting that way and acting as if they enjoy it, they will be beaten. Sorry. I am originally from Las Vegas. I resided there for about 41 years. I've been through a lot myself, but I wasn't aware of this type of industry. I saw a few years ago a documentary about a girl that was kidnapped in Nevada. She was taken to an isolated area with other women who were being held hostage to be broken and used in the sex industry. The ringleader, Ken, was a police officer in Nevada. Redemption Ridge gives these girls hope and a purpose. The Grace House will offer a loving, safe environment for them. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.